The Emeritus Center. I'm Jim Van Voris, Vice President of the Emeritus Center, standing in for our President, Ed Fitzgerald, who is out of town today. With me is our Athletic Director for the University, Mark Benson, and our Program Chair, Dean Napton. There'll be an opportunity for questions and answers after the presentation. Please let us know if you have any questions by using the Q&A, chat, or raise your hand options with Zoom. We will then unmute you so you can ask your questions and interact with the speaker. We will also be recording this webinar so we can post it to our website for those Emeriti who are not able to attend. I'll now turn things over to Dean, who will formally introduce the speaker.
Thanks, Jim, and welcome, Mark. Mark Benson was appointed Director of Athletics at the University of Albany beginning in the fall of 2014. He provides leadership for an 18-sport athletics program that has won 115 conference championships since moving up to Division I in 1999. The Albany teams captured 8 championships in 2018-19, and off the field were equally successful in the classroom. Student athletes posted GPAs higher than 3.0 in both fall and spring semesters. Benson has helped garner a $10 million gift to support the football stadium and other facilities. That gift made by the Bernard and Millie Children's Foundation on October 9th, 2015. He has also expanded scholarships for student athletes and addressed additional priorities in athletics. Prior to coming to the University of Albany, Benson was the Senior Associate Athletic Director at Old Dominion University. He also served as the Assistant Vice President for Athletic Development for 8 years and was an adjunct professor in the sports management program. Mark, it's all yours. Thank you.
Thanks, Dean. Thanks, Jim. Appreciate you having me on, and hello to everyone out there that I can't see your faces. You know, when I first heard Jim was going to be here, I thought that maybe this was a setup. He was coming back to have a budget conversation with me. So I'm glad to know that was just my paranoia kicking in. But no, happy to be here today. And thought what I would do is talk a little bit about you know, what I was asked to do broadly when I was hired. Talk a little bit about the culture that we've tried to build in the athletic department. Talk about some of the highlights that we've experienced that fit into that culture along the way, and then just touch a little bit about, you know, the future for UAlbany athletics and what that looks like. And then obviously the best part would be the Q&A part of this, because, you know, I'm here representing UAlbany athletics, and the reality is in these positions we tend to get credit when it's not deserved and blame all the time. And there's a lot of people that do such great work in our athletic department, from our coaches to our staff, our administration. They put in countless hours, days, nights, weekends. A lot of times people see them just at games and think that's what you do, but there's a lot of work. We work our regular hours and then are at most of our athletic contests on behalf of our student athletes. So really appreciate their support and great work. You know, when I was hired, the UAlbany athletics had tremendous success competitively. It's one of the things that attracted me to this position. We had a strong academic profile and record within athletics, which was important. And I think transitioning into Division I, a lot of the energy and resources were going into, like, how do we field competitive teams at the Division I level? What does that look like? How do we put them together, the coaching side of it? And obviously had tremendous success in doing that. And then I think at this point, it's more continuing that success competitively, keeping the emphasis on the academic side of our student athletes and their students first, student athletes. But then just maybe on the business side, work to engage the community, whether it's fundraising, marketing, alumni relations, building our athletic brand, which in turn promotes the university. I always describe athletics as being the front porch of any university. It's a way for people to get involved and come to see us on campus. And then, you know, hopefully they like the athletic side and they stick, but it also directs them to many other places on campus where they can lend their support. And then just be a good campus partner. Sometimes in athletics in general, people sometimes consider that the athletics to be over to the side and in a silo. And so just that integration of being a good campus partner, whether it's with student affairs, admissions, retention, whether it's with our alumni group, our fundraisers, our Office of Finance and Administration. There's so many ways that we need the support of everyone on campus to operate, and it's important that we reciprocate that support. So shortly after being there, I spent a lot of time listening and learning, being new. Never lived or worked in the state of New York before, so this was new to me, and I want to make sure that I had a good grasp of who we are and some of the things that we needed to work on, things that we had to sort of keep that are special to UAlbany athletics, and things that we can build on. So we developed a roadmap or a motto for our department, and it's great leaders, great champions, and great Danes. And it's a pretty simple foundation. The great leaders piece, we want our student athletes to be leaders on their team, leaders in their classroom and on this campus, and then ultimately prepare them for life after college athletics. As the commercial says, the NCAA, less than 1% or 2% go on to be a professional athlete. The rest go into the rest of their lives and helping them figure that out and preparing them for that moment. The great champions piece is self-explanatory. What we want to do is give each of our sports the resources they need, the support they need to compete for conference championships, which in turn leads to NCAA appearances. And that doesn't mean no one wins the championship every year in, year out, but just be in that position to compete for that championship on a regular basis and a broad-based sports program, which we offer here at UAlbany. And then, Great Danes is really all about family. One of the unique things about UAlbany is we're the only Great Dane mascot in the country. There's no other school, no other department that can lay claim to that. And so what we want to do is create an atmosphere, an environment where our student athletes feel comfortable and supported while they're here. We would like their parents to be a part of it. We want to get the community involved to be part of our program, to come support our teams on this campus, but also importantly that we reciprocate that and we go into the community and do our part, whether it's reading in schools, making visits to hospitals, veterans associations, whatever the cause that each one of our teams might hold near and dear to their heart, that we support that back into the community. And then we want, when our athletes graduate, we want them to come back and support us, and they're still part of our team and still part of this program. So those are the three things we focus on a daily basis. We meet every Tuesday morning. We've met every Tuesday morning since, September of 2014 as a senior staff to make sure that we're keeping our focus on these three areas of excellence for our athletic department. We meet monthly with our entire department, all the coaches, head coaches, assistant coaches, staff, administration. We go over department reports, what's happening, whether it's academics, compliance, facilities, fundraising, you name it. Then we ask each head coach to get up and talk about the three things. What's happening in the classroom, what's happening in competition, and what are you doing and your team doing in the community to build that relationship. Those are the three things that I just outlined with great leaders, great champions, great Danes, and we stick to it. And that's what we talk about over and over. Probably much to the chagrin of many of our staff, they've heard it a lot over the last 7.5 years. So, how is that translated over my time here? You look at some of the highlights that we've had that I think any school would be proud to say that they accomplished these, whether it's we've been to the Final Four in field hockey. The NCAA Division I Final Four is an amazing accomplishment. It's very hard. It's hard enough to win a conference championship. Then it's hard to win one game in the NCAA tournament, but to make it to the Final Four is remarkable. Then we did it also in men's lacrosse to the Final Four Division I. We were ranked #1 in the country in men's lacrosse one year, and I believe we're the first SUNY school to achieve that. And then about 2 hours after we were named #1, Stony Brook's women's lacrosse team was ranked #1 in the country. So amazing to have two SUNYs, two schools in the America East have that distinction, but we got it first, which is great. We've had some great highlights. Well, I mentioned America East. So where we're set up, if you don't know, the majority of our programs compete in the America East Conference. Our football program competes in the Colonial Athletic Association, the CAA, which many people describe as the SEC of FCS football, which is our level. Tremendous parity, week in, week out. If you look at the box score, it's usually 7 points or less, the margin of victory. Our women's golf is in the MAC, the MAAC, housed there, so they compete there. So at 3 different conferences, the primaries of America East. Women's basketball, tremendous run in the NCAAs. I think 6 consecutive years. We beat Florida in the first round up at Syracuse to have our first win in the NCAA tournament under Coach Abe at the time. Men's basketball this year beat Boston College in the ACC. It's the first time we beat an ACC team, kind of remarkable. 2019, our football team, arguably the best run in UAlbany history by making the FCS playoffs. We hosted a game for the first time ever in the playoffs. We won that game, went out to Montana State for the second round, played well, but lost to Montana State. So just a great run. And this program under Bob Ford prior to Coach Gattuso really built a strong foundation of success in the classroom and in competition. And that 2019 team really took that to a new level, which was really exciting. Along with, there's been a lot of other championships. I think of track and field. Year in, year out, you're not allowed to bet on the college sports when you work in athletics. But if you were able to, I think betting on the chances of us winning the track championship on the men's or women's side is pretty good in America East. So many other highlights. Academically, we've consistently been over a 3.0 GPA as a department. I grew up watching David Letterman, so I love a top 10 list. And every year at the beginning of the school year, when we bring all of our student athletes and coaches together, at least pre-COVID, we did that. We did it remotely this past year or two. Well, I love to give the top 10 academic rankings, 1 to 10 or 10 backwards to 1. And it's amazing to get the reaction of our teams, both on the men's and women's side. And it's usually very heavily, I'd say 70-80% of the top 10 is on the women's side with our student athletes there. In the leadership space, we've had the America East. There's a Man of the Year award and a Woman of the Year award that goes to a student athlete that's had success academically, competitively, is a community leader. Again, the same things that we talk about. And we've been very fortunate to have 2 men and 2 women in my time here win that award. Kyle McClancy from men's lacrosse won the award. This past year, Adrian Mitchell from our track and field team won Man of the Year. And then Tara Belinsky from track and field won that award, followed up by Kelly Barkovich from softball. So, tremendous honor to have 4 of our athletes in 8 seasons win this award, which is really tough to do because there's a lot of great student athletes out there amongst our peer institutions. Justin Berger, someone who he started at Stony Brook playing lacrosse, transferred to UAlbany his sophomore year, graduated from UAlbany, got his master's at UAlbany, was our intern in many places within our academic support group, as well as athletic fundraising. He was the America East SAC rep, which is a student athlete advisory committee. Every NCAA institution has a SAC leadership group, and it's comprised of men's and women's athletes from each of the teams that your school offers. So he was the rep for America East, and then he was nationally the NCAA SAC rep. So really, really tremendous honor and great example of how we'd like to develop our student athletes. He's now gone on to work in athletic administration in the fundraising capacity. He was at Tulane recently just took a job at Stony Brook as their head athletic fundraiser. Really proud of Justin and his growth. Some of the other highlights, I think Dean mentioned, we received a $10 million gift to support our athletic program. We've had a couple other seven-figure gifts. We're out right now quietly talking to some donors about some facility projects that are up and coming. So we also created the Great Dane Athletic Club. So prior to being here, we obviously fundraised. That wasn't new, but we didn't really have a branded organization that people that want to support our athletic program could look to, could go to direct their financial support to athletics. So we created a Great Dane Athletic Club. We have a board, a community board, leadership board that we've established. And the primary focus is on our athletic annual fund. A lot of that's tied to season tickets through basketball, football, and now men's lacrosse, but also on the major gift side. So got that up and running. As a department, we negotiated a deal with Under Armour for our apparel. So previously we had different teams wearing different branded apparel. We went out through an RFP to solicit companies to do that. We're very pleased with Under Armour, the partnership that we have. It gives us a consistent look amongst all of our 18 teams. Helps us really identify a stronger brand. When we all look, it sort of have the uniforms look somewhat alike, it's easily recognizable in the community. And then as part of that, we also updated our Damien mascot. We previously had our sort of live mascot, not truly live, but in the arena, sort of a brown. Actually, it's right here. Yeah, this was our guy. Damien is brown. I'm not sure he really looks like a Great Dane. And then we had a golder Scooby-Doo version. I should have been better prepared. I'll find him. There he goes. So that was the old. So we had two different looks depending on where we were in it, and so we had a bit of a fractured identity. And so what we did is came up with one consistent logo. There's the new Damien. So really excited about just that new brand. We did a lot of research, a lot of focus groups. We met with our current student athletes. We met with alumni. We met with some campus constituents on this, some season ticket holders, some external folks to get a feel for the things that they most would like to see in an updated Damien. So really happy with how that turned out. I'll talk a little bit about this current year that we're in, the success we've had. Our volleyball program, actually I should back up a little bit. Let me do that. So let me talk a little bit about COVID. We could probably spend our entire time focusing on that. But COVID has presented all of us in the world with really serious health challenges, physical health, mental health, the ability to do our jobs, the ability to have social interactions with our family and friends. It's just really turned our world upside down. And in our small world of college athletics, which is one that usually gives people an outlet for their day-to-day world, a place where they can come rally around a team or a program and celebrate, it's turned our world upside down as well. Going back to the spring of 2020, our entire spring athletic season was canceled. So there were no, we didn't finish our regular season. We weren't able to compete in our conference tournaments. There were no NCAA tournaments. Just really, if you think about looking back to when you were 18 to 22, 23, your focus would be on your academics first, but then on your, as a student athlete, the competition, and just really turned our world upside down. It was brand new to all of us. So just figuring out how do we keep our student athletes safe, and the testing requirements what tests do you do? What are the policies around that? And obviously we leaned heavily on our campus leadership, NCAA requirements, conference requirements. And I have to give a shout out, Andy Berglund from the RNA has been terrific to work with us in our testing protocol. Really allowed us in a very, from an operational standpoint, allowed us to practice and compete and did not break the bank as at some schools that didn't have that luxury of some in-house testing abilities there. And then in the fall of 2020, we pushed all of our sports into the spring of 2021 because of COVID. And again, the disruption for our student athletes and then just the operational challenges. When you think about 18 teams all competing in the same semester, practice time, academic support needs and time, athletic training needs, strength and conditioning needs, travel needs, everything's compressed into that one short time frame. Was different for sure. But as with everything, there's always, I think, a silver lining. And I think one of the things for us that COVID did is it really crystallized what's most important to us, for our student athletes, for our coaches, and just the ability to compete and to represent UAlbany in competition. It was a tremendous joy that it brought to our student athletes and to our coaches when they were able to get back on the field. And I had countless conversations with student athletes that would thank us, me, collectively, the university, for allowing them to continue to compete and finding ways for them to do that. Was just really uplifting. And we all wake up every day and think about, how can we make this a better place for our student athletes, whether it's, in the classroom and competition. That's our motivation for doing things. So it was really, I think, very uplifting to see that joy on their faces when they're able to practice, when they're able to go compete and go to the NCAAs. So that was a really, I know we're not through it. Some people like to think we are. I think this is going to be something we're just going to live with, work through, adapt as we go on. And with the vaccination, thankfully that came along and is allowing us to have some sort of return to normalcy there. Currently, volleyball won in the fall the regular season championship, which was terrific. Most recently, our track and field, our women's indoor team won their 12th consecutive Indoor America East Championship. Most recently, our women's basketball team just won the America East tournament this past Friday when they called an upset. I'm not sure I do. Upset the #1 seed, University of Maine. We were the 2 seed. But Colleen Mullen in her 4th year has really done a remarkable job. We have had a lot of success in women's basketball, going back to Coach Abe, and she moved on, and we hired Joanna McNamee Burnaby, who was here with us 2 years, won a championship, did a great job. She moved on. And when we hired Colleen, what happens in those kind of transitions is you lose some current players on your roster who decided to transfer now that their coach is gone. You lose some incoming recruits. So 3 coaches in about 4 years, that creates a lot of disruption on the roster. So Colleen inherited, she kept the players that wanted to be here. She slowly inserted her recruits. And this is the first year where she has all of her recruits. She recruited everyone on this team, and just a remarkable run. So we play this Friday. We play University of Louisville at Louisville, Kentucky. I think we're at 6 o'clock as we speak. We're working out the details on transportation and time, but a chance to put us on a national stage. So excited about that. Lacrosse is up and running. Both our men and our women are expected to have really good years in the America East. Baseball is off to a great start. We have one of our players, Brad Malm, is tied for the most home runs nationally. He's hit 10 home runs in something like 9 games. It's a remarkable run. Softball's off to a great year. So a lot of excitement ahead of us in this semester. And then I think just briefly talking about what does the future hold for UAlbany athletics. We have we've done very well, as we've talked about, academically, athletically in the community, but we can always do better. And we have a lot of needs around our facilities. We need to update some of them. We need new facilities in some case. Our outdoor, or our bubble burst December a year ago during that really heavy snowstorm. So we have plans to replace that. But pretty much everywhere you look across athletics in the facilities, we have needs. So that's going to be a heavy focus moving forward. The world of college athletics, I've been in this business for, I think about 25 years. I know I look a lot younger than that. but it's been pretty stable, and it's not that way right now. Whether you're talking about name, image, and likeness, which is a brand new concept for all of us, to work through. The NCAA has rewritten the Constitution. There's a lot of questions surrounding what does the NCAA look like in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road? What will it mean or take to be considered Division I athletics? So a lot of uncertainty, I think, around where we're headed. And I think the people that are going to do the best are the people that adapt and to change and find opportunities within that change. There's many times people, it's the woe is me, oh my gosh, this is the end of the world, how are we going to work through this? And I've always been somebody that you have to focus on the things that you can control and not worry so much about the things that you can't control, which is most of what we all deal with in life. So focusing on those things we can control and looking for opportunities, I think is going to be really, really important moving forward. So those are some of the things that I thought I would touch upon. I'm sure there's certainly many more I could have, but I think what we'd like to do is just open this up to a Q&A and see what kind of questions there might be out there.
Mark, thank you so much. That was a great in-depth look at athletics, and congratulations to the women's basketball. I saw that on the news today, and I was jumping up down. I'm sure everyone else was too.
I was.
So that's fantastic. Yeah, I see. Chris Walsick has a question. Chris, you're unmuted.
Okay, very good. No, this was impressive. How athletics contributes to the to higher education. $10 million. Wow. Now, about 2 years ago, the faculty here at UAlbany were evicted from their prestigious faculty gym locker room down in the Sefcu Arena. And I'm kind of being funny here, but at the time, what I heard was that athletics wanted this for the athletics program versus campus recreation wanting this for the students and faculty. Could you comment on this change? An upscale locker room that's now being used by student athletes versus that same upscale locker room being used to recruit faculty. Basically, could you make me feel that when I gave up my faculty locker room, that it was for the greater good of the university? Did I help get that $10 million?
Well, first of all, I think it was Jim Van Voorst's last act as Vice President of Finance Administration to take that locker room away. No, but we definitely have two parts of this. Were you part of the 10 million? We're all part of that 10 million. I mean, honestly, no one person makes these good things happen. No one person usually makes these negative things happen. So it's the collective that achieves goals like that. But yeah, we definitely had locker room needs for our Division I athletics. We had some Title IX. We were doing our Title IX review. There were some disparities that were places we need to strengthen along those lines. It was really important to the university and to us that we also maintain locker space for faculty, for those that work on campus, which we were able to do. So we definitely move things around. I don't know, I think you said luxurious. I'm not sure if it's quite luxurious, but it's nice at Division I standards. But the goal was to support our student athletes in a better manner, but also have space for our faculty and staff, which I think we're able to achieve.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Good headshot too. I like that. It's a nice professionally done.
Dan Smith, you had a question. You can unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Mark, thank you for a great update. I too am concerned about what you might call community outreach and community athletics. And if you'll just indulge me for a moment, I'll give you a little background. For many years, UAlbany had a pool. Oddly enough, we do not have one now. And as an alum and the former assistant dean of undergraduate education, I'd like to formally lodge, when are we going to have a damn pool? We approved, and I was chair of the committee that approved it years back on the athletics committee, that there would be a community pool. where are we with that? And I got another comment afterwards, not having to do with the pool.
Okay, well, the pool actually does not fall under athletic jurisdiction. We don't have a swim team. We don't have a swim program. I know the university went through a process assessing usership, assessing future needs for our rec program for the needs of our student population. But that's not something that falls underneath athletics purview. I would say that if you go, I don't know when's the last time you're on campus, but if you go over now, that pool is infilled and they're doing the first phase of renovation on the HPE building.
Okay. My next concern is community athletics. So that faculty, staff, and students who do not participate in the limited number of Division I sports we have could participate in something. For example, we had swimming lessons many years ago that were offered to the community at $35 a person. They got parking, things like that, where if you went to the local Y, it would be $66. And we tended to get more folks who were of minority status. So as they reach out from a university center, I'd say we're kind of backstepping, as it were. And finally, do you know the name Kim Bracken?
Kim Bracken,
Yes.
I'm not sure.
Alumnus, swimmer, former women's head coach at the University of Texas, Austin. Kind of a large facility, wouldn't you say? She was also the former head coach of the University at Auburn, another large facility. We might want to look into reaching out to our alums who were so good and rose so high in the professions. How about the Kim twins, Blake and Court?
I know them.
Okay. Don't see them around much or being mentioned at any lacrosse events. That would be kind of nice. John Morgan.
I know John.
Okay. He's in the International Lacrosse Hall of Fame. So there are a lot of people out there, my point is, that could help in planning facilities like this, in doing things and participating, perhaps to expanding the athletic offerings and the community sports offerings that the university can and should have. And I tend to come from an old paradigm, which is when the athletics department was called the Division of Physical Education and Recreation. So there was a different look from universities and colleges, at least at Albany, Plattsburgh, and others, as to what they were offering in terms of life learning. And I'll leave it to you.
Well, Dan, you sound like you might be a good volunteer for us to reach out to some of our alumni.
I'm already teaching swimming to adults.
Support. Well, swimming aside, as we don't have the pool, but certainly the lacrosse case with the Morgans and the twins, I don't know how often you're around, but they're highly engaged in our program. I was out at Lake Placid this summer where there's a really big lacrosse tournament, all ages into the Masters. We have a team actually called the Gray Danes that keep playing, compete. So certainly there's some engagement there. We recognize, I think we're recognizing John at the upcoming Syracuse game on April 7th, which is a Thursday night, if those of you would like to be there. But great point about reaching out to the community. We're a small staff, so we need people like you to help identify folks that you think might be able to help us, whether it's fundraising, branding, community outreach. That's good information to have on there. The head coach at who just won the national championship, I think it's Wisconsin, was our former volleyball coach here, not an alum, but somebody that we keep track of. So anyone like that, or Kim Bracken, who's done that well and is willing to help us, we are not afraid to ask for that help.
I don't know. I knew Kim as an undergrad. I don't know her as an alum, but she's had a rather interesting rise. I don't know if Albany's ever heard from her since then, since we sort of stepped away from swimming a long time ago, probably just after she left. But these are the things that Albany seems to not do. And I'm talking about it as an institution, those reach outs. There's no databases that I'm aware of that you can get at. And if you want to get people for an interest group, if you call the folks over at alumni, you get, well, if you can come up with 25 people, you can have an interest group. There are students, former students out there in a lot of different areas who, if there was a reach out to them and this was explained, that they could possibly do it, and it was put in something other than high bureaucratese.
Appreciate that, Dan. Lastly, I didn't address your point about the intersection of PE and athletics. It's not very common across the country to have those two linked together anymore. I think that's just the evolution of both the needs of an athletic program and the needs of a phys ed program and a rec sports and a club sports. As you say, it's a very important component for undergrads to have those opportunities to continue whatever physical activity they like. So we're not uncommon in that regard.
Yeah, the question though becomes, if you're the front porch as you describe it, kids want to get on that front porch and get access to the facilities so they can do things.
So,
and that's the community sports deep pair or recreational aspects of it. Is we've got a whole bunch of people in the Capital District and probably UAlbany students and UAlbany alums who sort of feel separated, segregated, if you will, from UAlbany athletics, because all you do with athletics, and I hate to say it, you show up and you sit. You don't get to participate.
I don't know. I've seen the wave at many games. I've seen people in the parking lot. I'm not sure when the last game you came to, but I've seen grills and young kids throwing the ball around. And
That's not athletics, though. I'm talking about getting them out and participating.
Well, that's a different. Oh, okay. Well,
with the university as a center for fostering that. I'm done.
Okay. Thanks, Dan.
Okay, thanks.
Mark, if I can ask you a question. So
Sure.
earlier we're mentioning about the success a number of our teams have had on a national level. Can you talk a little bit about what that means, both for the players, the people that are associated with the team, the program itself, and in fact, the whole university, when that type of thing happens?
Yeah, I think that the opportunity that we have in front of us this week, Friday, with our women's basketball team, it starts with winning the conference championship, and obviously the sense of pride that our student athletes have, that our coaches, our staff, that it brings to our general student body population, that it brings to everyone who works on this campus. You know, that's something you can feel proud of and excited about. You know, it helps brand this institution. That, you know, every news channel in the Capital Region had significant coverage Friday of our women's basketball team, which then will lead into coverage every day as we head into the NCAA tournament. And then we'll be on the national stage on Friday night playing University of Louisville. So it's that sense of pride. It's that brand recognition and awareness that we can bring to the University of Albany as to help encourage high school students to consider applying to the University of Albany, to attending UAlbany. I think for our alumni, whether you know, re-engaging, coming to a games, coming to a tailgate, writing a check, whatever check they can do to support whatever program it is, whether it's athletics or the School of Business or the PE program or wherever that may be. It really just shines a bright light on the university. And I think back to my first year when Peter Hooley hit that three to beat Stony Brook. And for those who don't know his story, Peter is from Australia. He's a senior, terrific student, terrific person. His mother had cancer during the season. He went home to Australia to be with her. Unfortunately, she passed away. He came back and was a starter. So hits that shot. And from that moment forward, the coverage that our men's basketball program and Peter Hooley brought to the University of Albany, we could never afford to buy that type of coverage. Leading into we got all the local, right, Capital Region, so statewide coverage, but leading into the NCAA tournament, they do a pre-show before the first game, and the last segment was on Peter and his family, and his sister and his father in Australia, and they're wearing their UA branded merchandise, and the whole world that's interested in basketball is folks on there. And then you flip at the end of that segment, the very first game of the tournament was UAlbany. We played Oklahoma out in Columbus, Ohio. So just that brand recognition, that sense of pride in our own league, the American East. When UMBC beat Virginia, there's 16 seed that beat a 1 seed. It's the first time it's ever happened in the NCAA tournament. I remember this person holding up a sign and it said, UMBC, you must be Cinderella. And that's kind of what you get to. And the number of applications flies through the roof, merchandise through the roof, interest in admissions, interest in donations, all that gets a spike. And then it's what do you do to build off of that in future years. So, we have a great story to tell here at UAlbany, and it's just nice for us to be a part of sort of amplifying that brand for the university.
I remember Hooley came back and spoke at commencement.
He did.
Yeah,
Terrific public speaker.
yeah, did an excellent.
I had to follow him one time at a community breakfast. And I remember thinking to myself, boy, I should have gone first. This guy's amazing.
Here's a little known fact in the background of that picture. When he hit that shot, you can see me in the stands.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, what an amazing, I was standing next to the coordinator of officials for the American East at the time. And if you recall, we had not hit a single 3-pointer that entire game.
Been cold.
I kept telling, yeah, and Frank, I kept going, Frank, we're going to make a 3. We're going to make a 3. And just, I don't know what people believe in. Things happen for a reason. I'll say that. And so for that ball to ricochet out into his hands, given what he's been through with his mother and his family, I think the guy was supposed to be there at that moment to have that opportunity.
Special moment. Yep.
I see one, let's see, question from Scott Burge. He says, hi, Mark, with Stony Brook's move out of America East and Hartford's move out of D1, would you speak a bit about how you see what moves may be ahead for America East?
This is being recorded, right?
Yes.
Hey, Scott, it's good to hear from you, although not directly. The band misses seeing you. We miss seeing you around campus. So the landscape of college athletics, transition from one conference to another is not new. There's been pockets of time where this happened rapidly. We're in one of those right now. University of Hartford elected to go from Division I think, to Division III based on what they felt was best for their institution. Stony Brook elected to go in as a full member in the CAA, of which we're part of in football institutionally. So, every conference in the country, including the America East, is talking about membership right now. How do we strengthen ourselves? Who might be interested in joining our league, our conference? Who can help elevate all the things we're talking about that UAlbany Athletics can help do for this institution? Is how do we strengthen our brand? How do we get more competitive in the sports offerings that we have? How do we find like-minded institutions that we can associate ourselves with? What kind of markets do we want to be in from a media perspective? So those conversations are being held everywhere on a daily and weekly basis. I wish I had a crystal ball where I could look into and tell you who the America East might add or when that might be, but I can just say that I know it's a hot topic of conversation. A lot of time is being spent on that.
I don't see anyone else with questions. Last call for questions, folks. Anything else you want to add, Mark?
No, I just appreciate the time today. I wish hopefully we'll be at a point we can do this in person. I always feel like these things are much better in person rather than just looking at my face and a screen with no faces other than you two, which are great faces to look at. But hopefully we can do that. And I would just encourage those of you, whether you were engaged with our athletic program or not, when you worked on campus, if you're looking for something to do that is fun and enjoyable, we have a lot of offerings. I will say a date to consider is that April 7th when our men's lacrosse team plays Syracuse. It's the first time Syracuse has ever come here to play us. If the weather is even decent like it is today, I think you're going to see a capacity crowd in Casey Stadium, which will again put us on a national stage showcasing University of Albany. So that would be a good one. And the lots are open for tailgating. It's a lot of fun. And you know, we can use your support in person or from afar, wherever that may be, and just appreciate your time and service as you all worked on campus for many years. And always good to see Jim Van Voorst again.
Always good to see you, Mark. Doing a good job.
Thank you, guys. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Mark. We really appreciate your time with us. Heads up for everybody out there in Zoom land. The next presentation on March 28th will be Pat Furlow, Director of the Performing Arts Center. He's going to give us a backstage tour of the UAlbany Performing Arts Center, so that should be fun. Thank you all. Thank you again, Mark. We really appreciate it, and enjoy the day, everybody. Take care.
Good luck Friday.
Thank you.